Update: am I the a-hole for refusing to give my former son a second chance? Original post: I, 48 male, found out my ex, 49 female, had cheated on me and that, of the 2 children she had given birth to, now 23 female and 21 male, only the girl was mine. I filed for divorce, and my ex tried for reconciliation, but I couldn't live with so much doubt. Once we got to court, it was like a switch had flipped, and she tried to keep me from the children. It didn't work though, as I had really good lawyers. In spite of everything, I was willing to still be a father to my son Noah, but my ex can be very manipulative. She told Noah about his real dad and even introduced them. Since then, I became the strict fake dad, while he was cool real dad. When Noah was 13, he told me that he no longer wanted to see me, and that he'd tell a judge the same thing if I forced visitation. I asked him why and if I had ever made him feel bad. Noah just said that he wanted to spend more time with his real dad and didn't like my house rules. I was heartbroken, but I let him go and still made attempts to keep the relationship. I called, texted, sent presents, and even invited him to events. Noah wouldn't respond or would pass small messages to his sister. When Noah was 18, he legally changed his surname to his father's and told me there wasn't enough room for me to attend his graduation. After that, I gave up and resolved to live my life being a father to my daughter and my son, 12 male, with my second wife. Recently, Noah reached out to me and apologized for his past actions and wanted a relationship again. I was surprised and heavily skeptical, and I was right to be. Apparently, Noah's real dad got married and his wife gave him an ultimatum, and he chose her. I told Noah that while I am sorry for what happened to him, I had no interest in being treated like an old pair of gloves that you only think about and wear when it gets cold. My ex thinks I'm being hurtful and petty, rich coming from her, and my daughter says that she understands my pain, but hopes that I can learn to give Noah a second chance. I just don't know, because I'm in a place where I'm fine not having Noah in my life or having any communication with him. I don't want to rekindle a relationship just for him to drop me again when his real dad changes his mind. Am I the a-hole? Edit for info. Just to be clear, because I keep seeing this, I divorced my ex when Noah was 6. My ex told Noah the truth about his parentage when he was 10, and his real dad came into his life at around 12. This all didn't just happen when he was 13. By the time he reached that age, he already had at least a year to process the information. When I asked my daughter, since Noah wasn't talking to me, if she thought her mom was pushing Noah to say those things, she said no. Apparently, Noah just wanted to spend time with his dad, but because of his work schedule, it wasn't always often. But when it could happen, it was conveniently during my scheduled time with Noah. I tried to see if we could work something out, but my ex and Noah refused any compromise. Your son, because he is your son. He was for more than half of his life. You were in the hospital the day he was born. You changed his diapers. You're his dad, like it or not. Was a middle schooler when he decided to cut you out of his life. I think maybe your interpretation of his motivations may not be correct. There's a pretty strong chance that when he saw that his bio dad would think nothing of giving up his relationship with him for a girl, it reminded him of the dad who never stopped trying to love him, even when he didn't really want that love, and made him realize what he'd lost. At 21, he's still very young, and it sounds like he wants his dad back. Sure, it could end in the two of you yelling at each other and never speaking again, but there is also a very significant chance that this could be the start of rekindling a relationship. I don't think there would ever be a situation where you would say, "Oh damn, I wish I had reconnected with my long-lost son." You're lucky in that it's only been 8 years. It will be much harder to reconnect if you reject him now, just like his bio dad did, and then decide when he's 40 that you'd actually like him in your life. I think it's fair to say that if the vast majority of 7th grade boys had a choice between a rules and stability dad or a fun no-rules dad, they'd pick the second one. Of course it hurt you, but I don't think it reveals some great moral failing of his. He was a young person grappling with a very traumatic fact that his identity changed when it came out that half of his DNA came from a completely different person than he thought. Of the people who were traumatized by this paternity revelation, I would think his trauma would be equal to, or even worse than yours, particularly since he was so young when it happened. So you would be the a-hole for missing out on a chance to get your son back. And if it doesn't work out, that's okay, but at least you'll know. But that's the thing. He doesn't feel like my son anymore, especially since he changed his surname. I'm just not sure it's worth the risk of getting hurt, and always wondering if he'll drop me again when a better option comes along. Noah stopped thinking of me as his dad long before I stopped considering him my son. So I want to ask, can two people still be considered family if they stop thinking or treating each other as family and there's no blood relation? Isn't 21 right around the time you start paying back the student loans? I didn't even think about that. And he knows I paid for my daughter's education. Now for the update. First, I just wanted to say thank you for all the messages and comments in support. It really feels nice to have my feelings validated. After a lot of thought, I decided to follow my wife's advice and write an actual letter to Noah, regardless of whether or not I intended to send it. I explained to Noah how much he hurt me by refusing to see me, never inviting me to important events in his life, not wanting to meet or spend time with my son, and how legally changing his surname cut deep. I also wrote that, in spite of everything, I still didn't take any pleasure in hearing about his father's rejection of him, as I understand how hurtful that can be. I said that even though I knew he was young, I was still angry over what he did, and a part of me felt resentful toward all the time, love, and money I spent on him when I technically didn't have to. This letter felt very cleansing, and I read it a couple of times before burning it. In the end, I decided to reach out to Noah and ask my daughter for his new number. He changed it when he was 19 and didn't give me the new one. I sent Noah a message reiterating how sorry I was about how his father treated him, but that I was hurt by how it felt like I was being treated as a last resort, and that the circumstances of his desire to reconnect didn't make me trust the relationship. I told him that I was willing to have some type of relationship with him again, but only under these specific guidelines. 1. Don't call me dad or refer to me as father in any way. We can revisit this in the future, but right now it honestly feels too soon. 2. Don't ever ask me for money. No cosigns for anything either. I'm not going to be his personal ATM for any reason. 3. You invite me to your things. I'll invite you to mine. 4. He's free to complain or talk about his bio dad with or around me, but he needs to understand that I have no kind words for that man, and will either say negative things or nothing at all. I expect him to be nice to my son and wife and treat them with respect. 6. Don't go running to your mom regarding information about me, my wife, or my son's lives. It's none of her business. 7. Don't go running to your mother or sister for any problems you have with me. We either talk about it man to man or find someone else. I don't want them trying to put themselves into our business. 8. He needs to understand that going forward, our relationship, if we continue to pursue one, is going to be different and will take more work on his end than mine, as he is less of a priority to me now that he's an adult. 9. When I die, the majority of my assets will be split between his sister and my son through my current wife. He will only be left the minimum required to prevent him from having legal grounds to sue. Again, I'm not going to be his cash cow. The rest of you can agree or disagree, but these are my terms if Noah wants any type of direct communication with me going forward. This is the only way that I feel comfortable, and how I believe I can protect myself if Noah ever becomes hurtful. This will also be his last chance. If he disappoints me again, then I am prepared to wash my hands of him, because I have more to live for than just waiting to be loved by someone. Comments on this post years later. I wonder how Noah responded and what their situation is like now, or if they even have one. If there was a happy update, OP would have posted it. Doubt Noah agreed, and basically they went back to their separate lives. I can't help feel that at 21, his major motivation was likely money or support. If he were older and had had a kid of his own and realized the enormity of the rejections to his original father, I could see him having genuine regrets and genuinely wanting to reconnect. But right now, it's literally just a response to his deadbeat bio father ditching him effectively for a second time. Do you remember that poster whose daughter admitted she would throw OP aside if her real dad showed up? I feel like Noah is the same when it comes to his bio dad. Seriously, how does Noah feel about his mom after what he went through from age 6 to now? Probably still loves her. My observation is that people who tend to choose the fun or absent parents over those who take care of them and actually want to raise them always chase those who they are unsure of, which means they love the toxic parent, the absent parent, the one who would leave them, and are always understanding towards them, never towards the parent who is there for them. It was easy to toss OP aside because he was there, and the son thought he could return to him whenever he wanted. You can guess OP's personality by how he found out his son wasn't his biological son, but still didn't stop being his father. He was the stable parent. Easy for the son to think he will always be there whenever he wants OP back as his father. Last story. Am I the a-hole for moving out of my dad's house because his girlfriend and her kid were moving in? I will be 19 male in a month. Moved out of my dad's house last month. It wasn't planned long-term. It actually went against what my dad and I had talked about. But I moved out because he was moving in his girlfriend and her kid. And I don't like his girlfriend. Dad raised me on his own. He and my mom broke up when I was 5 months old, and she stopped being in my life. My dad first met his girlfriend when I was 6. They dated on and off for the last 12 years. They never lived together before, and they were never together for this long either, 2 years. But over the years, she ticked me off a lot and made me wish he'd settle down with someone else. This isn't a thing of me not liking anyone Dad dated. He was with someone else when I was 14, and I liked her a lot. This is more about this specific girlfriend than me not wanting Dad with anyone. I first started to dislike her when I was 8, and she told me she was going to take me to see my mom. She got all riled up because Dad and I had seen Mom a few days before, and my mom went up to Dad to yell at him for trying to get child support out of her. She ignored me completely and told Dad she didn't want her past mistakes to ruin her future. I was saying how I never wanted to see Mom again, and so Dad's girlfriend decided she'd take me to see her. My dad shut that down hard. His girlfriend said my mom needed to confront that I'm her kid. It felt like Dad's girlfriend didn't care what I wanted or how that would hurt me. And even though she later apologized, it felt forced and like she was like, fine, whatever, sorry. But it made me see her differently. She and Dad broke up not long after that. She still brings up Mom more than I would like when she and my dad are together. I resist the urge to tell her to shut the heck up. Half the time I expect her to go behind our backs and try to get Mom involved. When I was like 10 or 11, she got kicked out of the coding classes I was taking and almost had the cops called. Dad had asked her to pick me up. She needed her ID, but she forgot it. So the class organizer couldn't let her take me, and instead of calling Dad, she started a fight about it and started screaming for me to grab my stuff and go. The organizer said even if I wanted to go with her, she needed ID before she could let me go. They were just about to call the cops when she said she'd call Dad, and then he picked me up instead. It was late when he came and she was angry for days after that. I was so embarrassed, and some of the kids made fun of me when it was going down. She didn't care, and I remember her rolling her eyes when I said she was the reason the kids were making fun of me. Another thing that has really ticked me off about her, and this is a reoccurring issue, is when she sees me on the phone and snaps her fingers in my face. This would happen when I was on the phone when she came over. I was normally talking to family. Either my great-grandma who was in a nursing home, she died 8 months ago, or out-of-state family. She expected me to end any call and pay attention to her when she came over. She didn't like that I'd be busy talking to family. If Dad was there, he'd say to leave me be, but she did it so many times. She'd even come and track me down in my bedroom and start snapping her fingers in my face. There's other stuff that has built up over time, and most of it is more like petty stuff, but I really don't like her anymore. The last time my dad and her broke up, she got pregnant with another guy's kid. When her and Dad got back together, they decided to try and make it work. I was hoping they wouldn't. I know that might sound bad, but I'd take so many other people over her. But Dad loves her, and when he told me they were moving in last month, I told him I'd find somewhere else to live. Dad told me I didn't have to, and in the 2 days it took me to figure something out, he tried to stop me. He told me I didn't need to, and I wasn't going to be kicked out. They were just coming to live with us. I told him I couldn't live with his girlfriend, and I wasn't going to force myself to. I told him I wasn't stopping him from moving them in, but I was moving myself out before that happened. Things between me and Dad have been tense since I moved out. His girlfriend's offended that I moved out because they were moving in, and she tried to give me a piece of her mind or whatever. I ignored her. She told me I better be there nearly every day to make up for it. But I haven't been to Dad's house once. I made plans to do stuff with him, but any family dinner invites, I don't accept. Dad told me it was extreme to move out, when I had always planned to stay at least another 2 years. I told him I could not accept her being a part of my household, and it was better I moved out when I did than disrespecting her like I knew I would. His girlfriend accused me of trying to break them up and ruin their relationship. She even called me moving outie stunt. I ended up blocking her number, but I hear her when Dad calls. She's apparently going to blame me if her kids' feelings get hurt in all of this. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You sound like a very intelligent young man. You know your feelings and boundaries. You also know yourself well enough to know there will not be respect given when it's not being received. Good for you. You're doing the right thing. Yeah, not the a-hole at all. He didn't ask his dad to choose. He just made his own boundary clear and removed himself from a situation that would have made his miserable. That's mature. Not a stunt. Sounds like she's been crossing lines for years. Not the a-hole, but curiosity. Was she also expecting you to help out with the kid and that's why she wanted you there every day? Also, if the kid is hurt by this, that's her fault for telling him. OP moved out because that's what grown-ups do. Is a perfectly fine explanation. So if she says it's because of the kid when it's because of her, geez. She never said anything about me helping with the kid. It was more like I better be there to give them attention, and so my dad isn't upset. The snapping in your face thing? Oh hell no. That'd piss me off too. That's crazy rude. That's one of many other issues here, but it caught my attention because wow. I think almost no one could be an a-hole for moving out of their parents' house. That's a life milestone generally done, because it's what's needed for independence, not something that's wrong or bad or malicious. My only concern would be if it was feasible for you, but it seems like you managed it. But no, not the a-hole in any way. The girlfriend is, and so is your dad for letting her treat you like that. My grandparents let me move in with them. Without that, I'd probably be in a not-so-great situation. But I think even a bad situation outside Dad's house would be better than living with her.